Let me just come right out and say it. If you're still relying on networking to grow your influence and land opportunities, you're playing the wrong game because power players, they're not scrolling LinkedIn looking for someone to take to lunch. They're looking for positioned assets, people who show up as strategic partners, not service providers, people who signal value before they ever say a word. So today, I want to help you stop networking and start positioning. Because when you're positioned right, you don't have to chase opportunities, they chase you. Welcome back to the Influence Economy, where we turn visibility into profitability and influence into lasting legacy. I am your host, Shayna Davis. And in this episode, we are going to challenge everything that you've been taught about getting in the right rooms. So here's what we're diving into today's episode. Why networking isn't enough if your brand doesn't scream strategic value. The difference between access and positioning and why one pays you a hell of a lot more. What decision makers actually look for before they reach out. 3 ways to upgrade your brand so you're seen as a peer, not a pitch, and some behind the scenes stories of how I've seen this shift play out in my business and in my clients' wins. So let's get to it. Let's start with a truth bomb. Networking without positioning is just busy work in a blazer. I said what I said. You can collect all the business cards, attend all the brunches, slide into all the DMs you want. But if your brand doesn't scream credibility, strategy, and value, no amount of networking will move the needle. Because here's what most people don't realize: the valuable rooms don't run on charisma, they run on clarity. And what power players are looking for isn't a cute elevator pitch or clever small talk. They're scanning for signal strength. These are the questions that they're asking themselves. They're asking, does this person clearly solve a real high value problem? Is this someone who understands business at our level? Would they elevate the room or would they need help catching up? Now that's positioning, and it matters more than access. Let's break that down: access versus positioning. What's the difference? Access means you got in the room, positioning means they already know why you belong there. Access might get you a seat at the table. Positioning gets you the deal before the appetizers arrive. Access can get you in the room because you have a relationship. But positioning can get you in the room because you know how to demonstrate yourself as a strategic business appetite. You feel that? Let me give you a real world example. I once worked with a client, we'll call her Vanessa, who she was networking her tail off, y'all. She was attending every women in business summit. She was showing up to every mastermind. She was DMing speakers after every single panel, and still she was getting crickets. Then she worked with me and we refined her positioning. We updated her brand message to speak to enterprise level solutions, not beginner level pain points. We developed a framework that showcased her method as proprietary intellectual property. And we packaged her services like business outcomes, not different deliverables. I literally just hung up the phone about 5 minutes ago with a potential client who is a stylist and she's wanting to begin to work with more corporations. And I was telling her, number one, you have to think about how you are positioning yourself because big brands pay to solve business problems. That's why I just said to you that you have to package your service like business outcomes and not just deliverables. And that may be a different shift in order for you to see the difference between the way that you've been doing things if you're selling yourself to individual consumers or other entrepreneurs in comparison to the direction that you may want to go with selling yourself to bigger brands. So within a month of us working on this, she got an unsolicited email from a Fortune 100 company inviting her to speak. Why? Because her brand started doing the networking for her. That is the power of positioning. Now let's talk about what decision makers are actually scanning for before they reach out to someone like you. Even if you reach out to them first, what are they finding when they're scanning you, when they're looking you up because they will? And spoiler alert, before you start to get nervous, this is not your follower count or your brunch selfies or any of the things that you may be currently putting out there as a footprint for your brand. Here's what they're really looking at. Number one, clarity of value proposition. Do you clearly communicate what you do, who it's for, and what business problem you solve? Like if I were to land on your website or your socials, do I immediately know why you matter? And more importantly, do I immediately know why you matter to an enterprise level organization? Number two, they look for proof of concept. Have you delivered real results for people at their level, or are you still playing in the beginner pool? If you have things like case studies, frameworks, media features, testimonials, all of those things send signal. And number three, they're scanning for platform authority, not platform size, platform authority. So, are you just present online or are you positioned? Are you producing thought leadership that shapes the industry? Meaning, what is your POV? What are you saying that other people in your industry are not saying? Do your podcast episodes sound like strategy sessions or story time? Do your posts teach, challenge, and convert? These three things that they might be scanning for are going to determine whether you're seen as a trusted peer or just another pitch in their inbox. So, how do you upgrade your brand to signal premium value? We're going to talk about that now. Let me give you three positioning moves that you can start working on this week. Number one, build a framework, not just an offer. You've got to stop selling your time and start selling your thinking. Create a named method or a proprietary process that shows that you have a repeatable system for solving problems. When you name your method, that's when you're also going to better be able to claim your space in the market. Number two, package for enterprise, because most women that I work with, like they're brilliant, but they're still talking like influencers. They're still talking like someone that only sells to entrepreneurs. They're not talking like consultants. So you're going to have to begin to shift your language to speak to business outcomes, not just personal transformation. So instead of saying something like, we help women find their voice, say we help organizations retain top female leadership by equipping them with inclusive communication tools. You see the difference? That's enterprise. One is entrepreneurial, one is enterprise. And number three, showcase social proof that speaks up market. Your testimonials need to match your target. So if you want six-figure clients, and I don't mean consumers, if you want six-figure contracts, don't lead with feedback from $297 course buyers. Highlight collaborations with major brands, media features, speaking stages, case studies that prove ROI, because the goal is that when a high level decision maker lands on your page that they immediately think, yeah, she's one of us. So let me bring this home with a quick story from my own journey. When I started positioning myself, not just as a coach, but as a strategic growth partner for brands and platforms, I stopped getting asked about, like, what's your rate? What's your hourly rate? And I started getting invited to the table as the expert who could solve a problem, not just motivate a room. And it was the difference between being an option and being the obvious choice. And I want that for you as well, because when your brand is positioned powerfully, you stop chasing introductions, you start commanding invitations, you stop trying to prove your worth, you start getting paid what you're worth. So if you're done with networking that doesn't go anywhere and you're ready to build a brand that power players pursue, then your next move is simple. Download the Influence Economy Playbook. Inside, I will walk you through how to turn your visibility into a positioning system that attracts real deals, high paying opportunities, and corporate level credibility. Inside of that playbook, you're going to learn how to diagnose your visibility gaps, the strategic framework to elevate your platform, and the exact positioning moves that I've used to land media features, sponsorships, and six-figure contracts. So if you're ready to stop networking and start positioning, head to influenceeconomyplaybook.com and grab your copy, because the next big room you want to be in, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you and why. So thank you for tuning in today. And until next time, keep showing up like the powerful brand that you already are. I hope that you will go back and listen to previous and future episodes as well. Everyone, have a great day. Bye bye.